We're going to be talking about the home builder sentiment, how it's gone deeply negative, and lumber is a very telling sign of this situation. Now, this is so different from what we had experienced during the great financial crisis because during that run up, we had a lot of new construction taking place, which really had a very big disruption to the housing market. When the things turned negative and it got deeply negative, what we found was a ton of projects coming onto the market. This was done from an overbuild that was taking place. So when people think about a housing market crash, they think about all these prices coming down because of this flood of inventory that's coming onto the market. And if we were experiencing something like the great financial crisis, I totally would agree with that. But we are not even remotely close to experiencing what it was that we had experienced during that great financial crisis, in that a lot of people were building projects that really should never have started. This is not that situation. In fact, home builders have pulled back dramatically on the amount of projects that they have started. The home builders sentiment is very telling of the new construction market. If the home builders aren't feeling it, then you are not going to see a lot of new construction out there, and lumber is going to be a very telling sign of this situation. This is something that I have been trying to share on this channel for quite some time, that it's not easy to necessarily see exactly what it is that's happening out there when you don't know from all the communications and mainstream media narratives and everything that's talked about as far as interest rates and interest rate adjustments and what that's going to do to the housing market. Very rarely does anybody really take into consideration that the home builders need to profit and that the lumber is going to be in demand. These two things are very telling of the situation. And most people want to point their finger at, politicians or something else that's going on out there. But really, it comes down to whether or not there is going to be a buyer for the house. That would encourage the builder's demand for putting new construction together, and that key product, the lumber itself. Without lumber, nothing happens. Like, you can have different types of windows, different types of siding, different types of flooring, all kinds of different types of material that goes into a house. But essentially, the lumber, that key component, without it, nothing happens. You have no other replacement part when it comes to the lumber portion of things. So when you see lumber dramatically pulled back like we have right now with the pricing and available inventory, this is not good. The moment that things shift with the home builders and they go out there and they start those new projects, there will not be enough lumber in the system to meet any kind of significant demand. This is the warning. I have been sharing it for some time. People say, dude, you share the same thing over and over again. I know, but I'm also warning you that if you see this shift, this portion right here shift, then you are going to see a dramatic change to the economy. Now, let me share with you some of the things that were said here inside of the builder sentiment coming out of, I think this is the National Home Builders Association, or National Association of Home Builders, I should say. Some of these quotes are pretty telling. Like, listen to this. Builders reduce their expectations for future sales as buyers report affordability challenges, which is contributing to the decline in consumer confidence for the overall economy, right? Again, if you see the buyer coming to market, that is a very good sign of the economy. It shows that things, all else being equal, are very active and very encouraging, and people are excited about going out there and buying a new house to live in. But if you see things the opposite, then it is telling a sign of worry, of warning, of issues that are happening within this market. And again, builders reduce their expectations of future sales as buyers report affordability challenges. If you decide to build a house today, do you know how long it takes before it actually comes into fruition? I mean, if you are really good and you really have everything lined up, you have your ducks in a row and you're ready to start, you're still probably thinking 3 months to 6 months down the road before that project even starts. If things were to snap around today, we're still talking 6 months to a year from now before you would ever see a sign of it in the economy. Goes on to say this: while the majority of builders continue to deploy buyer incentives, trying to figure out how to get a buyer there somewhere, right, including price cuts, many prospective buyers remain on the sidelines. Although demand for new construction has weakened, remodeling demand has remained solid given the lack of of household mobility. So that's also something that I have experienced here from being in the lumberyard that I am at. Like, I work at a very old lumberyard in a very old city, and most of the houses around here are in a state of disrepair or a constant state of repair because of the age of most of the dwellings. So having remodel jobs is pretty common in our area, and I do see quite a bit of remodeling happening, which coincides with some of this information saying that remodeling demand has remained solid. Totally experienced that. But the new construction demand, incredibly weak. And you have to think, like, remodeling, although there might be some demand for lumber, especially if you're doing like an addition kind of remodeling, but for the most part, lumber is not a big demand for remodeling. Remodeling has new counters, new cabinets, new stuff like that. Generally, it's not necessarily needed to have a lot of lumber, maybe a piece or two, but not necessarily like a whole lumber package is needed for remodeling. And that would be telling of the situation we have right now. Okay? Goes on to say this: housing affordability remains an ongoing challenge at the start of 2026. And again, this is something that we are not, unfamiliar with. It seems to be the case across the country, is that the home affordability is the biggest challenge for people. And it's not necessarily that they don't want a home, it's that they just simply can't afford it. Like, their payment is too much for their job. Like, their job wages don't keep up enough to buy one of these houses with the elevated interest rates and the prices that they're set at. Okay. The solution for the housing market, and this is coming from economist Robert Dietz from the NHAB, or NAHB, there we go. The solution for the housing market is the enactment of policies that would bend the construction cost curve and enable additional supply of attainable housing. And I find that to be a little disingenuous there. The solution for the housing market is the enactment of policies that will bend the construction cost curve and enable additional supply of attainable housing. And I find that to be so off from the realities of the situation that we face with the underlying economic forces. Understanding Cantillon and the Cantillon effect you'll hear that sentence and you'll be like, not a chance in the world. Not a chance. It sounds great. It sounds like a wonderful thing, right? Let's get rid of the regulations. Let's make it easier. Let's do all this stuff, and all the incentive will come back to the consumer, and they'll come back and just buy all these houses. Good luck with that. Doubtful, right? On the positive side, easing inflation should continue to allow lower interest rates for mortgages and builder loans. Now, I do agree with that, but there is not lower rates coming. Not a chance in the world. Not until you find some major inflation coming down, like completely gone, will you find the Federal Reserve adjusting rates. They do not want lower rates. They want elevated inflation to lower the neutral, or to raise the neutral interest rate, and it lowers the real interest rates. It makes the economy far less restricted. Now, you think about it right now. Here, the working class is suffering, and it's obvious, even here, these people are recognizing it, that they are not able to go out there and buy a house. But yet, who is going out there and buying a house? The rich elite, right? The high-end luxury homes, those ones sell. Why? Because they're the ones who have access to the new money. People down here at the bottom, they can't get a new loan because the interest rates are too high. You're not getting into a mortgage. You're not getting a house. This is the unfortunate situation. You can make it easier for the builder to put a house there, but it won't make it any easier for the individual, the working class individual, to go out there and buy it. It's just not in the cards for them anymore. It's sad, right? And this is very telling of that situation. It goes on to talk about the survey. Now, understanding this survey is very critical to the understanding of the situation we face, as far as where it is that the home builders are looking, right? So now you think about this. It says here, the latest HMI survey also revealed that 36% of builders cut prices in February, down from 40% in January. So many of them who had a lot more of them in the previous months were cutting prices in order to get those projects moved out there, those houses. A lot of them have cut back on how much they're cutting. Well, you think about it, they can only reduce so far. All right. When they do the initial cutting, that's like, that's the majority of it. As time goes on, they're going to have to do less and less cuts because they still need to profit. So it's not like they're going to be able to just cut into oblivion. It makes sense that, hey, we did all the cutting we can. I mean, there might be a little bit more going into the future, but how much can you possibly cut before it's no longer a profitable project, right? All right. While this marks the lowest incidency, God Lord, of price cutting incidents. There we go. Good Lord, man. Why can't I say words? Incidents of price cutting since the last May, 34%. The average price reduction remained 6%. Just 6%. Like all these builders are cutting prices, right? They were cutting a lot before. Now there's even less of them cutting. And how much are they cutting? 6%. That's it. That ain't a lot of room. That ain't a lot of encouragement to go out there and buy a house if they cut it by 6%, right? I mean, it was like, what does that mean? Nothing. Like 6% is hardly anything on these overpriced, well, not even overpriced with these, because at this point, this is what they cost, right? I mean, could they come down? Absolutely. But the chances of it coming down like significantly, like during the great financial crisis, very doubtful, right? Very doubtful. The use of sales incentives was 65% in February, unchanged in January, and marking the 11th consecutive month of this share has exceeded 60%. Wow, so they're eager, right? They're trying to get these projects moved as best they can, and they're finding it very difficult to do it. Derived from monthly survey, let's see, the NHAB has been conducting for more than 40 years. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets down to the sentiment here, right? Because anything above, you have to think the sentiment is based off of good, fair, or poor. Anything above 50 is good, positive. Anything below 50 is negative. And so when they go and do this gauging, right, it's the HMI index gauge, current sales conditions held steady at 41. So 41 is negative. Right? That's not positive at all. They're not feeling good about it in any way. The index measures future sales. Right? So this is the builders feel about future sales is at 46. Now here it is. The gauge of traffic. This is the one that I have been telling people to focus in on. Like this thing comes out regularly. You have to look at this particular one. Like the other ones might turn positive. The sales condition and the measuring of future sales condition, those ones can turn positive. But if this one right here stays negative, then you're not going to find any kind of encouragement happening to the market. And that is the traffic of prospective buyers. The traffic of prospective buyers in the home builder sentiment fell 2 more points to 22. It is so deeply negative that it would take an insane amount of absolute change to the economy, whole bunch of buyers coming into the market for that to turn positive again. It is so far from positive that there is it's like not even in the cards anymore, right? Like this isn't even a possibility. The perspective of buyer traffic coming to the home builder sentiment to turn it positive is nowhere in sight. And if that thing is nowhere in sight, the demand for lumber will most likely stay low. And if we have a low demand for lumber, the mill curtailments are going to continue and they're going to deplete the inventory even more. This is a very, very bad sign. I don't know how many people are recognizing it. I've been sharing it for a very long time here on this channel. And to see that this sentiment came out and going deeply negative on the buyer traffic is not an encouraging sign. It's going to show that the economy is not doing well. The average everyday person who is looking for things to turn around so that they can get their shot, and as far as getting into a house, living that American dream, this is not looking good for them. Watching that buyer traffic, watching the perspective of buyer traffic, when you start seeing that thing moving and moving quickly to the positive form, I would get ready. I would not hesitate. I would be in position and ready to go. Because if this is any signs of the future, we have a horrible existence coming when it comes to the lumber market and coming to new construction. It is not happening. Not anytime soon, not anywhere in the cards. Nothing is going to bring that new construction back. I don't care what they do at the government level. I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? They can do whatever they want. If they start doing things to drive demand for building, you will not find enough lumber out there. The prices will go through the roof, and the cost of that job will be absolutely astronomical. You will not get into that house. It will cost too much. This is not good. Very bad sign. All right, 15 minutes into it. We're going to keep this one fairly short. Just wanted to bring this home builder sentiment up, talk a little bit more about lumber and the lumber situation we now face. Many of you know that I work at a lumber yard. I do retail sales for a living. And I can tell you now that the inventory levels that are out there are very low. Like when you call up, when I used to call up a vendor for lumber, right? I'll call them up and just say, hey man, I need a unit of whatever. They would say, great, no problem, on the next truck. Now they have to check their supply. Well, let me see if I have one available. That is not normal, right? Normal is you call up the lumber, you call them up and you get a price, and then you find out who has the cheapest price, and then you order it from them. Now I'm calling up just to hope that they have it available. That's a huge difference that is now taking place within this market. Keep hitting that thumbs up, buddy, everybody. I really appreciate it. By hitting that thumbs up button, you'll get the YouTube algorithm to spread this around for more people to join in. This is important information for the builder. This is important information for those who are looking to do new construction. This is important information for anybody who is looking to get into rental investments, right? All this stuff can be tied to lumber, and you can see what the industry is doing by just focusing in on the lumber prices and the lumber demand. I mean, it is more telling than anything else out there. All right, I got the furnace out. Everyone, pat me on the back. All right, all-nighter. Good job, bud. I am the first-time buyer in San Diego, California at 46 years old, still waiting for home prices to decrease. You're going to be waiting a long time. Home prices aren't going to decrease in the way that you are anticipating, because the average everyday person, is not the buyer of those homes anymore. Think about it. We can't afford them anymore, so the prices aren't coming down to meet our capabilities. They're getting purchased by the investors, and then we're renting them. Think about it, right? Look what's happening out there. I mean, I wish it wasn't that way. But then again, it's not for me to wish or pray or hope for to be a different way. I have to figure out what it is that I need to do. And when I look out there and I'm thinking, man, there is a lot of inventory when it comes to houses that is quite extremely elevated in price. I see them. For example, I was just looking at random housing markets all over, and I didn't pick this one for any particular reason. I just ended up in Oklahoma at, I think, a place called Weatherford, right? I don't know anything about this town, don't know nothing, right? Whatever the conditions are, I don't know the industries, I don't know anything about it. But I just went and looked at how many rental properties were available, and it wasn't many. It was like, I don't know, 20 rental properties or something like that. You know, I'm looking at the pricing of it, seeing how much they go for, just kind of curious of that. Then I clicked on how many houses were available, and it was shocking. I mean, I couldn't believe how many houses were available for sale in this area. And I'm thinking, wow, that's so different from where I live in Astoria, right? Astoria was like almost the same. Like, you just take the city of Astoria, and there was almost as many places for rent as there was for sale. But in this Oklahoma Weatherford area, there was like hundreds of houses for sale and only a handful for rent. And I'm thinking, man, that's an easy place to rent out a house, right? You just pick out any one of those houses and put them up for rent. And then it got me thinking, I'm like, wow, it's probably an easy way in and no way out. Like, if you were going to try and sell that house, think about how much competition you would have. I don't know anything about that market, and like I said, there might be a whole lot of differences or whatever. I was just kind of taking a look at it at a glance, and holy crap, man, what a difference comparatively to Astoria. Like, Astoria is just like the cheapest house is like, you know, $500,000 with move-in. If you want a fixer-upper, like, you can't even live in this thing, $380,000 to get into one, and then you want to rent a place. I mean, you're like, you know, $1,700 for a single bedroom, $1,500 for a single bedroom kind of stuff. tight quarters. You want to rent a house, man, it's going to get really expensive in Astoria. I looked at this thing and I'm like, holy crap, man, what a difference it is in the Midwest. Like, I look at it here, like, I'm trying to figure out how to do it here in my hometown. I can't. It's too expensive here. Like, it is outrageous. Like, I'm saving up all this money trying to figure out how I get a down payment for a rental property. And I'm like, I'm saving like crazy. I'm putting it into liquidable assets so I can like access the cash if I need to. And I go and I look at some rental properties or trying to figure out how to buy a rental property around here. And I'm just like, no way. It can't happen. And then I see like, this place like Weatherford, Oklahoma. And I'm like, wow, look at the price. Like, there was a home there for like $680,000. It was like this beautiful mansion of a place. It was like, 5 times my house, and my house almost cost that much. It was crazy to think. All right. Robert Shields Jr., thank you so much for the $1.99. Government will do anything to inflate out a debt. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is like we have to understand that the government doesn't have any other way other than inflation. Like, they don't have any other way of making any money other than selling U.S. Treasury debt. Like, there is ways of making money. We produce stuff. We have services and things. But we import far more than we export. And if we're importing more than we export, we can't export stuff for new money. We have to export debt. U.S. Treasuries. That's how we get our new money. So the government is going to inflate just simply because if they do anything else, it would implode. Like, there's no other way. It's just, that's it. It's just that direction until complete failure. Knowing how to be close to that new money is going to be like the key to survival into the future. Is if you can access that new money and then deploy that money into a return, then you're going to be fairly okay going into the future. But if you're planning on working for your money, for your existence, it's going to get very difficult. It's going to get really hard. We can see that just by the home builder sentiment continuing to go negative on buyer traffic. The perspective of buyer traffic, 80% of the people, is negative. Like, that's not looking good for the home builders. They're like, well, if we built these giant mansions or whatever, we might be able to appeal to the top 10, 20%, but the regular working average everyday dude, they're not part of the game anymore. It's just, I wish it was different. I really do. I mean, I'm in the game of selling lumber. I would wish everybody could go out there and buy a house. I would sell tons of lumber to everybody and everybody would be super happy. But that's not the situation. It's not even close. And thank you so much, Robert, for that $1.99. I really appreciate it. All right, Dave. Price is relative to local income tax. When you look at different states, you probably make $5 more an hour living in Astoria versus small town Oklahoma. Oh, I guarantee you. Right? Like, Astoria is like, you can't, if you had any less of a wage, then it wouldn't exist. The people wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be able to be here in Astoria at all. Like, it's already incredibly difficult to have just, a regular 9-to-5 job. Like, there's people who do it, but it's like, it takes everything out of them to make ends meet. Most people live with roommates. Most people live in very tight conditions, like small studios. And I'm talking like the average everyday person, right? Average working class. This is how most of them end up living. Or you had been in before the run-up. So you were locked in on your mortgages or something of this nature, which gave you that footing before it started to elevate. When I grew up in this town, this was logging and fishing community. A little bit of tourism. Right? That was the majority of the new money that came in here was from logging and fishing. So if you can imagine that if it was loggers and fishermen who were bringing in new money, how would the condition of this area look, right? Those were the people who were buying the houses, renting the houses, frequenting the businesses and stuff, was coming from logging and fishing money. But then it started coming in from a lot of hospital district, a lot of retirement, a lot of remote workers, right? People who were coming in with this new money from out of state, which was much more than what the logger and fishermen were bringing in, now has the prices of everything quite elevated, and the logger and fishermen are not the people who are like at the top of the game. They're just in there. They got good jobs. Don't get me wrong. They're able to be competitive in somewhat. But now everybody else who had like a regular job can't compete against it anymore. Right? And this is the unfortunate, like people will call it gentrification or whatever, but Cantillon described it long before they came up with the word of gentrification. Boom! We got Benny up in the house. Thank you for being here, bud. I really appreciate you, man. All right. But the orange guy is saying everything is great. Yeah, if I'll tell you what, man, if I was the orange guy and I was one of his buddies who were sitting up on the top 10, 20% of household incomes, and I mean, I'm not talking he's like part of the top 10, 20. He's on a little, he's up there at the little fraction of this, the very fine top up there. But him and his buddies up there at the top 10, 20%, if they were to look around at each other and say, man, things are great, and they would be absolutely correct. Things are awesome for them. It's like everything is freaking awesome for them. They're getting more money, right? Their assets are going up in price. They have more, they have everything is going for them. It's kicking ass up at the top in every way. And then people say like, well, how come he's talking about it being so good? It was just like, because it is good for him. It's everybody else who's, it's a K-shaped economy. It's two tiers. It's like, you know, everybody at the bottom is suffering big time on account of elevated inflation, loss of wages. They're not holding on to assets, so they don't get that elevation from that. Everybody at the top is loving it up there, right? So when Orange Guy says, man, it's kicking ass out there, he is absolutely right for the top 10, 20% of people. Kicking ass for them in every way. It seems like more homes are coming up for sale. I'm also seeing more for rent signs in front yards, almost like they're having a harder time finding renters. Well, if you can't find buyers and you can't find renters, they got to live somewhere. Like, where are they living? They're living together, they're teaming up and, you know, maybe buying places together. Like, people are concentrating their living conditions, right? Now, I mean, I see it happening all the time. I see people roommating, getting like, you know, they're figuring it out how to make their monthly payment last, or monthly pay last longer throughout the month, right? And the only way to do that is to group up. All right, been to Weatherford, Oklahoma. No industry, no wages outside of the college. See, that's kind of what I figured. It was probably the college town part of it. And I would only assume that if it was a college town, then you would probably be very frustrated with the rental properties that you have. You probably even said that a lot, like where you live without. Let's see, drive to Oklahoma City to work. It's a lot like where you live without the beautiful nature and the ways of making a living. Yeah, and see, that's kind of what I thought as well when I kind of looked at it. And again, I didn't do any kind of real research in it. I was just kind of screwing around with, you know, just looking around. But when I saw that, I mean, it was such a dramatic difference in it, right? You know, here's a handful of rentals in all these places for sale. And so I'm just thinking, man, if I was a property owner there, I would assume, right, that it would probably be a very difficult market to try and sell your house in with all those houses for sale, but it would probably be pretty easy to rent out a house because you only have a handful of rental properties there. But the people that you're renting it out to, college, like it probably doesn't work out too well as far as trashing the house or maybe not even making the payment or what, or making the rent payment or something. So I can assume that being in the location that it is, it's probably very difficult to have a consistent, stable renter market there, right? With the college town and all. All right. Parents, they're moving in with parents, but there is a massive couch surfing epidemic going on right now. Yes, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why, and I totally agree with it, right? And it's unfortunate that this is the situation we now face, and people are anticipating, oh, it's just like, oh, they don't have any other choice, they're just going to have to lower the rent, they just have to bring the house prices down. And I'm thinking, I don't know how many people realize this, but when you borrow money to buy a house, to put a renter in it, you can't lower it. Like, you know, it can only be that price, and if it doesn't work, everybody's going to fall into pain and misery, because if you can't sell the house and you can't rent it out, uh-oh. All right, now you got to, you know, the mortgage is still due. All right, I hope Simon didn't drive you crazy in Vegas all nighter. I drive all nighter crazy no matter where I go. All right, all-nighter hider. Been loading wood stoves. Oh. So let me see. Let me back it up here. Do we have any questions up above? Prices relative to local. Oh yeah, we already read that one. Man, back up here again. One of my brother's houses doubled in San Diego from 2.1 million to 4 million in 5 years. I doubt San Diego will decrease. Well, even I mean, you think about it. If it goes up that high, like if you went from 2.1 million to 4 million, and then it goes back down to 3 million, isn't it still quite elevated? Like it might have come down $1 million from its 4 million mark, but it went from 2.1 million to 4 million. And if it goes from 2.1 million to 3 million and had fallen $1 million, to me, that's still quite elevated, right? Like it isn't where it was, but then again, like how many people bought at the exact peak, right? Not a lot. Like, I mean, people did, but not a lot of people were buying at the extreme highs. Most people just stayed put. They're locked in at low interest rates, so they don't want to move. And I mean, even think about it, like the sales have been dropping dramatically. If new sales aren't taking place, then that means there's not a lot of people who are getting in at high prices or elevated interest rates. It's when things are really selling, like lots and lots of things are selling, lots of houses are selling. That would mean that there's a lot of people who are taking on elevated interest rates and the elevated prices. But when the prices moved up and the interest rates were up, sales fell. So it's not like there's a lot of people out there buying these elevated priced houses. The crash is in sales. It's in transactions. So yeah, they might be priced there. Interest rates might be there, but the amount of people who are actually transacting in that is very low, considering. All right. I feel like the real estate play I should make is buy land, make it large parking lot with connections, internet, have a common area, laundry, shower, and bathroom facilities for van living. It's not a bad idea. It really isn't. Like, ultimately people are living in their cars at this point because they don't really have any other place to live. And it is very difficult to find a place to park your car without getting harassed or, whatever, run off, or you know what I mean. And I feel for these people. Like, I mean, what the hell are you supposed to do? Like, even if you have a job and you have no place to go, what are you supposed to do? Like, people just like, they treat you like hell, and it's just like you're just trying to make ends meet. I saw this poor old lady who was just like, I'm just sitting in my car at the bank, looking at her phone or whatever, and these people run her off and the cops are harassing her, and she was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, she was crying, and she's like, I didn't ask to be here. I don't know what to do. I'm in my car. I work. I can't find a place to live, and I get harassed everywhere I go. Dang, that sucks, right? But if she had a parking lot that she could go to where she would feel somewhat safe, where, it was like at least secured, yeah, from, just random people coming in. You had some facility there, places to charge your phone, place to shower, place to maybe even, lockers to store stuff or something of that nature. Can you imagine how it would be for an individual to have that sort of facility to get themselves a footing so they could at least save some money to get an apartment or something of that nature? When you're being chased all over the place, trying to figure out how to survive in a world that doesn't allow you to just be anywhere, how do you make it? Like, I mean, you gotta have a spot that you can at least take a breath, right? And there's no place like that, not for any of them. I've talked to many homeless people, and I say, man, if there was one thing that you need, what is it? And, it's just like, I need a place to put my stuff so it doesn't disappear when I go to work. Like, a lot of people say, what kind of stuff? And I'm thinking, all the possessions of their entire world. It's everything to them. Like for us, we look at it as just a bunch of garbage. To them, it's their entire world. They don't want to give it up, and I don't blame them, even if it is a bunch of crap, right? So I don't blame them for not wanting to give up their entire world that they have so that they can try and show up at a job. If you can secure their stuff, their entire world, at least give them a locker that they could put some stuff in, a place that they could charge a phone, and a place that they could shower, and make that very convenient and cheap for them, they might be able to get a footing, right? But if you don't have that available to you, how the hell do you do it on your own? You can't. And the longer you're on the streets, the less help you're going to get from anybody out there. Man. UE is one of the most moderate and balanced economic analysis on YouTube. I don't give out compliments often. He is grounded in facts. Thank you, Reserve Currency. I really appreciate it, man. And one of the things that I really try to share here on this channel, is to be as real as possible. Like if you guys were to meet me in person, this is exactly who you would meet. Like I am not different any way, man. This is it. And when I share this information, I'm sharing with as much honesty as I can muster, right? Like when I look out there at what has taken place with the rich elitist people out there, and I think it's not greed. It's not greed and manipulation. I wish it was. That way we can blame him, right? There is greed involved in it. There's greed and manipulation involved. But we have to understand what happened with our currency, with our monetary system that has created an environment that could exist. Along with that, the poor, the homeless, right? These two things are signs of the exact same thing. You can blame all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, I want to blame people too, man. It's fun. He's the fault, right? But that's not the situation that we're facing. We're facing a reality of expanding currency that separates the rich from the poor. It's the Cantillon effect in full swing, right? And I appreciate it, Reserve Currency. I really do. All right, Alex, I think you got the wrong guy. UE has been on the other side of the sky is falling. Yeah, and see, this is really where I think, like, a lot of times people will look at a thumbnail or they'll read a title and they'll be like, oh, UE says the housing market is like, completely trashed and crashing. And I'm like, okay, what did I say? What did I say in the video? Did I say prices were coming down? All right, that's what people would assume if they saw that, like housing market crash. What was it? What did I say in the video? Transactions are crashing. It's not the price. But people would read the title or read the thumbnail and then immediately start commenting, and it doesn't make any sense. Their comment is like in relation to the title. And I'm thinking, don't judge a book by its title, by its cover, right? You got to dig into what it is that's being said there. Like I even watched, hell, he did it. Jason Hartman was putting up like thumbnails of some other YouTubers out there and saying, look at these, look at what they're saying up here, look at what they're talking about the housing market. And I'm like, Jason, bro, that may not be the content, right? Like, dude, we know, right? We do YouTube, we put, thumbnails, we put catchy titles, we put clickbait out there occasionally. Sometimes we do a little more than others, but ultimately it's the information inside of it that's the important part, right? All right. Teach them how to fish. Yeah. Here to like and comment. Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate it, man. UE is one of the most... Oh, we already read that. Thank you so much. Reserve Currency. Hey, UE. This is Brandon Campbell. Hey, UE. What is the current cost to build per foot in your neck of the woods? I just recently talked to a builder in Colorado. They are booked at $1,500 per foot? Am I reading that right? So, no, that can't be right, bro. That can't, 150 to 250, right? Like, that's a huge range. But that would be more realistic, like $300 per square foot on the higher end, like if you're in a really high demand, high quality or whatever. But if it's just cookie cutter houses or something like that and they're nothing fancy and you're doing single wall construction and single level and all that, no way should it be that much money. That's like insane. You're talking like that's like $1.5 million to build 1,000 square foot house. Did I get that right? Like if it was $150 a square foot and it was 1,000 square feet, it would be $150,000. But you're saying $15,000 per 1,000 square feet? That's like 1.5. That's like $1.5 million. No, that can't be honestly be right. Maybe it is. I don't know, but that's I haven't been to Colorado in a while. Yeah, that's I don't think that's right. Hey you, what is okay? Is Adam Kidsmore? It says 15,000 is a rip-off move. Yeah, it seems. I mean, that seems kind of elevated to me too. Especially for construction, just the construction of a house. All right, crazy. Okay. Huey, gold, silver, and bronze. Thank you so much. That's cool. Huey the goat. I appreciate you guys. I really do, and I try to come out here and share information, share philosophy, share ideas, and for those who get it, those who really relate to the information, like they love it. Like they come to me and like, dude, thank you so much for sharing and all this other stuff. And I get that a lot of people, they don't like it. They push back against the information. I don't know what it is that they're expecting from it. But to be honest, I find that what it is that we share here on this channel to be the absolute best information that you can dive into. I mean, we talk monetary policy in a way that is not discussed anywhere else on the entire YouTube or TV or anywhere else. Like literally the monetary policy that we discuss here on the Uneducated Economist is unique to the Uneducated Economist, and it's funny how it is unique to the Federal Reserve's speeches. Right? It's those are the only two places that you can find the information is within the Federal Reserve's own documents and here on the Uneducated Economist. Right? Weird, I know, huh? But it's the case, and so whatever, we'll keep breaking it down. uh, Josh says it's absolutely right for that part of the Colorado. It's a multi-millionaires there. Wow. I mean, that seems a lot. It does for me. I mean, like even here, I thought it was a lot with I couldn't tell you what the average is around here anymore, but I don't think it's $15,000. That's for sure. um, uh, all right, you guys having fun? We're 42 minutes into this live stream. I'm going to call it quits here. Just go back home, get something to eat. I just wanted to share the idea of what it is that's happening within the home builder sentiment, following the prospective buyers. That like the prospective buyer traffic on home builder sentiment. When that starts to dramatically move towards the positive, it's at 22 now. When you see it jump up to 32, headed towards 40, that's the key indication, right? Don't wait for it to go positive, but when you see it moving on to positive, like it's headed in that direction, it's get ready because there's probably not going to be a whole lot of lumber left in the system when those builders really ramp up. Because you think about it, they pulled back on building. They don't want to do that. They want to build. They want to build lots. They want to build a lot of stuff and they want to sell a lot of stuff, but they don't want to build a lot of stuff and then sit on it. So when you see the buyer traffic, when that starts to move positive, when the home builders are getting excited about the prospective buyers, you're going to start seeing that sentiment going from 22, it's going to go up to 32, it's going to start heading to 40, and you have better be in position and ready to go because the lumber is going to take off after that. And I've shared it many, many times. This is not a sign that it's switched. That's not a sign that it's switched yet. This is a sign that it's still deteriorating and it's not good. It's making the problem worse. That problem being inventory depletion, mill curtailments, shutdowns, problems within the forestry industry, the lumber production industry. When that starts to shift, it's going to shift on buyer traffic. I keep saying it over and over again. I don't know how many times I have to say it so it sinks in, but that's what we're looking at. And if there was anybody who wanted to get information on lumber, on where lumber is headed, follow the buyer traffic. Perspective on potential buyers going into the future for the home builder sentiment. It's at 22. Start watching that move up. Get ready. All right. All right, we're gonna a couple of more questions here or comments, and then we're gonna call it quits. All right, what question mark? It finally happened where the new construction is cheaper than remodeling. I don't know about that. Ooh, who said that? I don't know. I don't know who said that. Who's is that commented up there? I didn't say that, did I? Did I say that? I don't remember saying that. All right. Show the prices. Show the prices are going to go up when the demand goes up You got you. I've got you. About an hour away, you can find normal prices of 500 per square foot. It's baffling to me. Yeah, now there you go. Like 500, I mean, that still seems kind of high, but that's much more realistic to like new construction pricing than 15,000. Like 500 is like, although to me that still seems quite elevated. I mean, hell, I mean, I remember when I was building, it was like $100 a square foot. So yeah, I could see where like 500 would be a lot more reasonable than 15,000 or 1,500, but maybe that's what it is. I mean, if that's realistic there, holy crap, man, I want to move to Colorado and start building. All right. Look it up, moving positive direction. Things are going to get better. ISM Manufacturing Index. Look it up. Moving in a positive direction. Things are going to get better. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about following that particular manufacturing index because I mean, I think that's probably a good thing for the general like economic conditions as far as the numbers go. But I believe most of that manufacturing is going to like basically sidestep around the working individual through automation, AI, robotic, whatever it is. So, although the number within the economy might look really awesome, hey, the manufacturing is doing really, really well, but us as the individual who would typically participate in the manufacturing portion won't be there. So, like, our job won't be any, it won't serve any benefit to us. If you can, however, put yourself into the asset, then that will probably do well, right? So if you're in 10-20% people who are collecting assets and you move into that particular portion of it, you'll probably do quite well, right? I don't know if I got my economics right. All right. Deplorable. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome. All right. You guys are cool. Thank you so much for being here. We have 110 people, 112 people watching with 67 likes. Go take a minute, reach over, hit that like button. By hitting the thumbs up button, you'll get the YouTube algorithm to spread this video around for more people to enjoy. Remember, the first 10 minutes of this video is the most important part of it. So if you do share the video, just let people know, hey man, watch the first 10 minutes, get the information about the home builder sentiment, what is happening with lumber. That's the important part of it. Everything else is just our conversation and having the Q&A and the comments about the situation we now face, and all that is really good, but the information's in the first 10 minutes, and share that with people and let them know. All right. I put myself into my asset every evening. Some people call it a house. Yeah, I guess I'm doing the same thing, man. But it's funny how a lot of times people think, well, what is it that you're doing? All right. Well, it's not always visible what it is you're doing. Right? Like some people might be, loading up on their skills. Well, that might just be understanding of the situation, putting a lot of work and effort and time and energy into your education of just literally learning things. That's not something that people are going to recognize right away. They're not going to say, oh, dude, you look like you've been reading. Have you been reading? You look like you've been reading, Like, does that happen? Does anybody do that? Of course not, right? So we have to understand, like, when it comes to our growth, our progression, where it is that we are standing in our existence, it's not always going to be like a physical form of something. Right? A lot of people are like, how come you don't drive a new car yet? How come you don't have all these other things? How come all this other stuff? And I'm like, man, you have no idea what it is that I have. Like, if I wanted a new car, I could go get one right now. In fact, I could probably go get any car I want. That's crazy to think. Like, I could go get a really, really, really fancy car. Maybe not like, I can go get some, like, Lamborghini or something like that. But, I mean, I could go get a pretty nice car if I wanted to. That's neat. That's like, I mean, to have that in my life now, oh, yeah, like somebody says, how come you don't drive it? And I was just like, dude, don't give me that shit, right? It's just like, I can drive whatever I want. So the understanding of your situation and what it is that you are moving on and your path that you are on or something, don't let anybody else tell you that you ain't doing it right. Right? Don't let anybody else say, well, how come you haven't got this or that and the other thing in your life? It was just like, they don't know who you are or where you've gone, what it is that you need, the position that you're trying to take. Right? Nobody knows. And in fact, it's better that they don't know. Leave them guessing, because it's not their problem to face. It's yours. And so since they ain't going to deal with your problems, who cares what they think? They ain't there to deal with your problem, only you are. So whatever it is that you are doing and whatever path that you are on, and even if it's a mistake, think of it as a learning lesson. Oops, won't do that again, right? That's part of my skills that I'm learning here. And that's where I find like understanding economics, understanding how it is that you position yourself and what it is that you are doing. Don't worry about anybody else and what they think of you. Right? Don't care about whether or not, you're stepping into rentals and they think that's the craziest move in the entire world, or if you're moving into the stock market, or if you're trying to flip cryptocurrencies. Who cares what they think? This is your game. It's your life and your understanding of how it is that you need to position yourself. And anybody else who's going to tell you that you're doing it wrong, screw them. All right? This is your learning lesson. This is your path. This is your consequences to face, and you're going to be able to figure it out with every mistake and every lesson that you have learned. Most people will never even take the chance. All right? Alright, don't piss away too much of your primary residence. Shouldn't be in your NW, in my opinion. Just a box. Bathroom is almost demoed. Right on, all night. Let's see, cruise down here. Just got here. Did you hear they're going to raise rates? I did not hear they were going to raise rates. I heard that many of the Fed officials within the minutes disagreed with each other. That's what I heard. I didn't hear that they're going to raise rates. That would have been a hell of a signal. Like, did they say that? Or did some of the Fed officials say that? Right? Because remember, we have to think about what it is that they are using to try and manipulate the markets. Expectations. That they deliver an expectation that there's no other way that there's going to be anything other than an interest rate cut, even though they never really said that. The markets, if they believe it, will then price that interest rate hike or cut into the market before it ever happens. So remember the credible threat theory. Always remember the credible threat theory first. When you hear that they're going to do something, that is a narrative. Is that narrative accurate? And how much do the people believe it? Are they taking actions based on that narrative? This is important because this is how they conduct their monetary policy, is by delivering this rumored information or whatever you want. All right? Like if they push the idea, then the people will start incorporating that into their investment strategies. That is the policy. It's not the interest rate adjustment. It's the delivery of information. Yeah. And I know that's hard. It's hard for a lot of people to see. I mean, I've had many people say, dude, I've been following your channel for a long time. It took me a year to figure out the credible threat theory. Right? They got it now. Like they've read, like I've explained it so many times. They've downloaded the speeches. They went and researched it. They figured it out, learned what it is that I was trying to communicate to them as far as the credible threat theory. Once they got it, they're like, dude, I got it, man. This is so good. It has changed everything about the way that they view the economy, monetary policy, even the mainstream media narratives. It just opened up this whole world of being able to view things in a different way. All right. What's up? I'm making my video, bro. Got one of my coworkers over here. All right. Tell what you own or how much. Absolutely nothing. Nothing good comes from telling somebody what you own or how much. That's right. In fact, it's better that they don't know. Leave them guessing. Right? In fact, if they come, like, it's so funny if they're like, dude, you don't know, you ain't got nothing, all this other stuff. You have to think for just a minute. You know what those people are? Those people are either jealous or they're sucking their life. They're sucking at life in themselves, right? They don't know how to do it. And when they see you actually stepping up and making an effort and showing progress, they try to beat you down because they couldn't do it. They can't do it the same way you're doing it, so they tell you you can't do it either. And then they try to embarrass you and make fun of you and do all this other stuff that says, you're doing it wrong and try to make you feel bad about yourself. And then they put you into a position of second-guessing your efforts. And I have to tell you, if you are feeling that way, you're winning, bro. Take it as a badge of honor. Knowing that if it didn't exist, if those guys weren't saying that, if those people weren't doing it, then you're probably not making it. The only reason why they're saying it is because you're actually doing something. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. I mean, how many times have you, like, looked at somebody who was just over there not really doing anything, and you're like, dude, you go on, and they start pointing at him for no reason. No, of course not. If he's just sitting over there doing nothing, nobody pays attention to him. But if you're out there busting a move, and then people say, dude, you ain't doing nothing, right? You're on your path, man. You got it going. Look for it, right? And take it as a badge of honor. It's just like, yeah, man, finally, I got somebody telling me I shouldn't be doing it, and that I'm doing it wrong. Nice. The Fed enjoys the position they have right now. I agree. You finally, I think something you and I finally agreed with, bro. The Fed enjoys the position they have right now. I couldn't agree more. Jerome Powell can't cut rates, by the way. Pedro, Jerome Powell doesn't have the power to do that. Right? Even bringing up Jerome Powell and then saying won't cut rates is like, what ends up happening is that I end up, no disrespect to you at all, sir. I really appreciate you being here and the comment and everything else. But the moment that somebody says Jerome Powell won't cut, I lose it I was just like, I don't have any, I have a hard time internalizing anything else that you say after that, because the very first sentence was inaccurate. Jerome Powell won't cut. Right? Or Jerome Powell will cut, or whatever it is that you're saying. You got to replace Jerome Powell with FOMC. If you say the FOMC, now we got a group of people that we can look at, because if you just blame one person, then the whole rest of the monetary policy becomes inaccurate to view. It's just the way it is, right? I don't care. You can remove every single one of those people off the FOMC. I would still say the FOMC is doing this, regardless of who's sitting there. It doesn't matter to me, right? What matters is the words that they have used, right? I don't care who it is. I'm going to understand the words that they have used in their speeches, and then understand the consensus statement, right? The long run statement on strategies coming from the Federal Reserve. It's the consensus statement. The FOMC, the 5 alternates, the 2 advisors, they formulate strategies, whether it's their own independent one or in conjunction with the rest of them, to execute the consensus statement. That's what they're doing, right? They're trying to achieve the consensus statement. Most people have no idea what the hell the consensus statement is, right? But to know that it does exist, and that the Fed is attempting to achieve that, and that the FOMC individually is making a decision on what they feel is the best path to achieve the consensus statement. That is what the FOMC is up to. To blame Jerome Powell for anything, to think he's getting criminally in charge, all this other stuff, complete noise. Complete noise to distract you away from what it is that's actually happening with monetary policy. All right? So let's finish the rest of your comment, bro. All right. Jerome Powell will not cut rates, and he is only until May. After that, the new guy will take over, and Trump will force him to cut rates. Absolutely incorrect. Pedro, I'm sorry, but you do not have the monetary policy accurate at all, right? It is so far, and I mean, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you learned something from this, but to understand that there is a Federal Open Market Committee. These are 12 voting members of monetary policy. Jerome is 1 vote. Warsh is 1 vote. They do not decide what the other people are going to vote. They do not decide the strategy. That's the consensus statement. They do not do anything other than speak on behalf of the FOMC. The only difference that will take place between Warsh and Powell is the sound of the voice that you hear. That is it. There is no difference between these two people when it comes to the delivery of monetary policy. They will have their vote, which could be different from, like, Warsh may vote differently than Powell, but regardless of how they vote, the other 11 voting members, 5 alternates, and 2 advisors have their own ideas. That is the way to understand monetary policy. If you look at it any other way, you might as well just watch the mainstream media and believe whatever is being told to you. Because everything within the idea of Warsh and Powell and how that's going to disrupt and change the monetary policy couldn't be any further from the truth. It just isn't going to change. Okay? It's not. All right. People don't think that I have anything of my own safety. Yeah, actually, Pedro, I would agree with that one. It's better that people just don't know if you have anything at all. And you don't have to prove it to them, and you don't have to prove anything to anybody anywhere, right? Your actions speak louder than any kind of words that are out there, and this is something that I think a lot of times, God, how time is it? I'm an hour into this. I was going to go home 15 minutes ago. This is where I think a lot of times people end up like losing their direction, is that somebody will say something to them and then they have to prove it to them, right? And so instead of being on their path and heading down their whatever, they let this distraction deviate them. They're like, well, you ain't driving no new truck, so they figure they have to go get a new truck to prove it to this guy that they're actually successful. And then they'll fall apart. Then they won't be successful after that. I could care less what anybody else says, right? I mean, that's not true. I do care. I kind of fire off a little bit back. I get triggered, right? Everybody gets triggered at some point. But for the most part, to understand that I am not going to deviate away from what it is that I have been doing. I have feel more successful in my life than I have ever felt, right? And I think for somebody to say, dude, you ain't doing nothing. And I'm thinking, no, I used to not do nothing. I would agree with you. I used to not do nothing, right? Now I feel like I'm doing everything I can possibly do. Sometimes it's just not even something that you would notice. Maybe it's just leveling up skills. Maybe it's positioning myself in a way that nobody could really recognize or see that I've done. To me, that's my strategy. That's my thing. I don't need to tell anybody about it. I got one wrong and one right with Simon, so I am even. Pedro, you're awesome, man. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you, man. And I really appreciate the comments and not getting upset with me, basically firing off on that. So thank you. All right. My house needs serious work. It was built in the 1900s, no money. So here's something that I thought about. Mellow, what is that? Me, it all runs together. Melodic through. I don't know what you're saying. I'm not sure what the name is. I apologize, but I really appreciate the comment. Here's something I thought about. You need a friend like All Nighter. Right? All Nighter stayed the night at my sister's house and like put all kinds of pictures and all kinds of stuff up for her. Like we were like he just went right to work on her place. Now I'm not like maybe All Nighter will come and hang out with you or whatever. I mean, but you need to find like a friend like All Nighter. Right? Offer them a place to live and just say, hey man, if you work on the place, you can stay here. And now you got all the free work. Like there's plenty of people out there who need a place to live and they would love to put a few hours a day into fixing up the house, right? 4, 5, 6 hours a day. That would totally be worth it, right? They come and, put new window trims up, painted, repaired the roof, did all that other stuff. I would find somebody like that. Give them a place to stay and live and work on the house the entire time. Maybe set it up with a contract. Say, hey man, for the next year, I'll give you a place to live. You don't have to pay any rent. Just put in, so many hours a week on the house, and we'll call it even. And do it for a year. That way, at the end of the year, you can say, okay, man, time's up. It's time to go, right? And everybody's made whole. Everybody's cool. Just make sure that it's part of the plan. And. Uh, all right. Nobody calls me chicken. Marty McFly. Nobody calls me chicken. That was so funny. I wish it was built out of brick. All Nighter Hyder doesn't idle too well, does he? I've never seen Hyder sit still for anything. Like, he's always on his somewhere. He's always going somewhere. Like, it's on his way by and headed somewhere, man. All right. Really will just slightly fake real estate. Wait for the little fraud. Wait for the title fraud. All right. That's what I need. Title fraud. In a world of Warcraft, I wonder if you get a complimentary NFT with it. I cannot meet All Nighter because he is Oregon and I am Virginia, not physically possible. All Nighter's not Oregon. I'm Oregon. All Nighter's California. And actually, All Nighter's all over, right? So, like, you never know. All Nighter might be in Virginia here in a little bit. You never know. I wouldn't be surprised, is all I guess I'm getting at. Uh, in fact, he might have even heard that there's something going on in Virginia and he's going to go check it out just to see what it is. Building materials are a leading economic indicator. Absolutely, they are. Especially lumber. Like, the demand for lumber is going to be the indicator of all indications out there as far as economic activity. Think about it. The demand for lumber says it all. If you have a high demand for lumber, you are seeing economic activity out there. People who are doing well with their business, people who are doing well with their stocks, people who are doing well with just everything that's happening, have a tendency to want to buy a house. And if you want to buy a house, builders want to build one, and then you would see the lumber prices move up. So lumber demand is a huge indicator of the economy. All right. True melodic, everything is negotiable. Right? I'm not rich, but my poor house. All-nighter hider is not far from me. All right. Bullhead City, Oregon. Oh, you are in Oregon right now. I thought that I didn't know Bullhead City was in Oregon. I thought it was still in Nevada. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. All right. I'm in Eastern Oregon. All right. Melodog, maybe not rich in dollars, but most of us are rich in something that can be traded. And that is so true, All Nighter. And like, I think you're probably one of the better ones to actually talk about that, because of the use of your skills in order to find your way into that property ownership, or being into you know one of the property owners in combination, or what, in a team. Like, what am I trying to say? And I don't know. But participating in it with other people, like in a group effort to try and get that property. If you don't have the ability to go out there and get the money, you have skills, and your skills are worth the same as money. That's what I think a lot of people, they don't understand that. They're thinking, man, I have to go and figure out all this money, and you don't. Like, the money is not the important part. It's the energy of being in the direction of what it is that you want. Like, I mean, if you want to be the real estate investor, you have to be in the game, right? And now that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have the money. What it means is you have to be in the partnerships with other people, and then use your skills so that they can use it for their advantage, right? It's just like, hey man, don't hire somebody. I can do that, and then give me the portion of the project, right? And then they're generally, most investors are like, whatever, man, they don't care which way it goes, as long as they make money at it and it's good for them. They don't care. They're like, yeah, you do it, that's fine. uh no, I'm in Bullhead. Oh, there it is. Bullhead City, Arizona was making a joke. Okay, gotcha. All right, man. I'm really confused. Okay. All right. Pace of change accelerating, a difficult level increase, thus more of a challenging to earn high income faster in 26. Challenge to earn higher income faster in 2026. Okay. So accelerating, difficult level increase, thus more of a challenge. All-nighter, stop that. Oh. I'm about to use my skills in my parents' property here to obtain more in Gary, Indiana. I see the path. It can be done. And see, this is what I find very interesting, is that I've been hanging out with All-nighter. We've been going to these, conferences for quite some time. It's not like something that you can fire off right away. He built not only the reputation, right, which I think is just amazing, right? I mean, but All-nighter has built up a reputation. Get this, like, he goes to these economic conferences and is more popular than some of the speakers. Think about that for just a minute. Like, how is it that an individual, just by showing up and just being you, right? Just being yourself, communicating, and have made yourself so popular that literally everybody at the economic event knows who you are, right? That is an amazing skill. I think, coming out here on YouTube, being entertaining and all that, I think that's a pretty cool skill. But what All Nighter has pulled off is absolutely incredible. right? Like this is just one of the most amazing things that I've actually been able to witness, and I'm just loving watching it go. He built up this partnership, built a community, became known within it, and now he has the real estate investors saying, "Come on, let's go do this, right? Let's get you going. Let's make this happen, right? It's only a matter of time, building this thing up brick by brick, that he's going to be one of the main investors. It's just a matter of time." Right? And I can see it happening. It's cool to witness it, right? And everybody who is at these economic events also is witnessing it happen. That's why they're so excited for it. Well, well, Nider, man, you're pulling it off, dude. All right, everyone loves weed, all nighter. Well, I can't disagree with that. All right. All right, I don't think we need to earn more. I think we need to get control over our debts. Most of the boomers own their homes and they're protected to the worst fluctuating prices. Yeah, I agree a lot with that. I don't think you necessarily need to earn more, right? You need, like, it doesn't matter how much money you earn. It's really a matter of how much money you can save. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, I know people who earn a lot of money who don't save any, and I know a lot of people who actually earn a very little amount, but it's surprising on how much they can actually save. And so it doesn't really matter how much you earn. It matters how much you can save. And that's really what the key to it is. True story. Millennial Mike sought me out to help get me on the property ladder. He's such a huge help. Channel link incoming. Yeah, absolutely. Share Millennial Mike's channel. I am surprised Deplorable, Moses, and Deja Vu are not here tonight. Yeah. Well, Moses popped up for a second. All right. I like Astoria. Me too. Low expenses, save, side gigs. Simon has it right. Yeah. Sending Deja the link now. All right, well, all nighter, I'm about ready to cut it quits because my hands are getting cold and I need to go home and get something to eat. But definitely check out Millennial Mike, right? Check out Millennial Mike's YouTube channel. He's partnered up with All Nighter. The two of them are, doing their thing, and Gary making it happen. It's awesome to see. I mean, I I'm just like, I look forward to hearing the next story, what it is that they got going on. It's just incredible to actually to witness it. And those guys are the best. Like, you think about it. If you're hooked up with Millennial Mike, if you're hooked up with Dion, if you're hooked up with Matthew or Zuber or somebody like that, especially those three amigos, those guys are like, they're doing nothing in their life except for trying to figure out how to get other people to do what it is that they have done. Like, that's what they have committed themselves to. I mean, think about that. That's a pretty cool thing to have in your life, is to know these guys and to know that they are truly being authentic when they say, "Hey man, if you really want this in your life, we're going to show you how to do it." You know? I mean, they've said it to me many times. And I think about it. It's just like, dude, I would love their help. And so I try to position myself and I look around my area and I just get so discouraged. Yeah. But I know that there's a way of doing this in a way that is remote. Millennial Mike doesn't live anywhere near where he's investing. Neither does All Nighter, right? But yet they're doing it right now. So if they can do it, I can do it. I just need to figure out that strategy myself. I want to meet Simon and All Nighter in person. Well, J. Pedro, you can meet us in person a couple of times a year by checking out some of those events, right? Zuber's event, the Rebel Capitalist, we have a tendency to attend these things regularly. And you're going to find that if you are going to one of these events, the energy that you get, the network that you can build, this is what All Nighter did. He used these events and the meeting of these people to elevate himself, right? And although many people will be like, elevate to what? Elevate himself into that property ownership, which is something that so many people find difficult. And yet here he is doing it, not with the money, but with his energy, with his time, with his, ability to communicate. That's how he's getting property. It's nothing, it doesn't take money, right? Money's the money. Too many people put that in front of what it is that they need. And they say, I need to get this money first. Well, if they need to get the money first, they may never ever get it. Well, All Nighter removed that. He says, I don't need money first. I can get into this thing. And he's showing how he can do it, right? All right. I have a whole upstairs, 3 bedrooms, bath unused. Maybe I should rent it out to fix it up. Absolutely, you should. Holy moly, you got all that space out there and you're not using it? Like you don't have family up in there living there? Absolutely, man. Rent that stuff out. Make some money, right? Everywhere, there's money flies everywhere. You got rooms that are not being used? Well, money's flying right past you, man. Hey, money's flying right past you. All right. Lumberjack landlord and the financial firefighter. Thank you so much for getting all those links up there. Everybody take a moment, scroll through the comments. All Nighter has left a link to quite a few YouTubers out there who are encouraging and helping and trying to get other people into property ownership. Check out the links. Check out these individuals. They are really serious about this, about the outcome for other people. Like they are like, hey man, we are figuring this thing out. Let's share the information for other people to figure out as well. Thank you, All Nighter, for sharing those links. I'm serious, guys. Go check those guys out right now. I'm going to leave this up for another minute here so that you can click on all those links. Make sure that you have them in your history so that you can go back and review them. I'll give you another, minute here or so to do that. It's pretty in Astoria. It is super pretty in Astoria. Astoria is one of the nicest areas that I have ever been, and I'm not just trying to brag it up because I live here. I mean, I travel around and I think, man, this is a cool area. This is really beautiful. This is all nice. And then I get back home and I think, holy crap, I live in the most beautiful area in the entire world. I know I do. Like, there's other places that are really nice. You go to the tropics in Hawaii and they got some really nice scenery and stuff. Everywhere in the Pacific Northwest is absolutely beautiful. Everywhere, right? Sacrifice in the short term to benefit in the long term. There's a bunch of them. Zuber, Dion, Millennial Mike, Financial Firefighter, Lumberjack. Yes, absolutely. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in on today's live stream. Thank you so much for clicking on those links to all the other YouTubers out there who are sharing their information on how to acquire property. The only way to do it is to be in the energy, be in the group, be in the communications, be in the communities, right? That are moving in the direction in which that you want to move. Like if you just wanted to sit around and drink beer all the time, there's bars all over the place that are going to have tons of people in there doing exactly that, and you are going to be able to live their life just exactly the way they're living it. Or, right, you can then get into the property ownership by hanging out with people who are property owners, who are sharing the experience of how to be a property owner with other people who are becoming property owners. What do you think is going to end up happening? Just saying, just maybe, you know? All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you again, All Nighter, for the moderation of the channel and the posting of all those links. You contribute so much to this channel. I don't know where you find the time for it, but I thank you so much for not only moderating this channel, but all the rest of the channels that you moderate and everything that you do, man. You make everything so much better for everybody. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.